My Pet Slime, Saving Cosmo, Book 9, by Courtney Scheinmill and Colleen A.F. Venable. Illustrated by Renee Carilla. 8. Grandma Sadie's Secret Science Lab. We didn't slow down until we got to Grandma Sadie's house. I'm sure the Mala folks will be snooping around here before long, Grandma Sadie said. We need to hide the cart. Piper, will you and Claire get the tarp from the shed? We're on it, I said. I knew I'd need both hands, so I put Cosmo down on a lawn chair. He still looked frail and light green. I'll be right back, I told him. Claire followed me as I jogged around the side of the house to Grandma Sadie's backyard. I weaved through Grandma Sadie's collection of garden gnomes. There must be 100 of these ugly things, Claire said. 34, I told her. And I think they're cute. I've almost tripped 3 times, Claire said. That's the opposite of cute to me. I pulled open the shed door. Look, there's the tarp, I said. Claire and I lugged it back over to the garage, being careful not to trip over any gnomes. Grandma Sadie and Eric helped us cover the shopping cart. I scooped up Cosmo and gave him a quick hug. Good job waiting for me. We'll get you healthy in no time, I told him. Where's the secret lab? Claire asked. I'll show you, Grandma Sadie said. We walked to the backyard. Grandma bent down and pulled off her left shoe. You want us to take our shoes off before we go inside? Eric asked. My parents have the same rule, Claire said. But can we at least wait until we're inside the front door? I don't want my socks to get dirty. Everyone can keep their shoes on, Grandma Sadie said. She pulled up the insole of her shoe, and then she pulled out a tiny brass key. Grandma Sadie slipped her shoe back on and walked over to the steps by the back door. But she didn't go up the steps. She bent down next to the garden gnome that sat beside the bottom step, and she tipped back its little red hat. I didn't know their hats came off like that, I said. They usually don't, Grandma Sadie said. This one is special. Underneath the hat was a small keyhole. Grandma Sadie inserted the key she'd taken out of her shoe, and the steps flipped backward and turned into a stairwell that led underneath the house. Well, I'll be, Eric said. I was speechless. Claire's mouth was hanging open, but she didn't say anything either. Grandma Sadie jogged down the steps, and the rest of us followed. When we got to the bottom, the stairs flipped back up so they were flush with the ceiling. I set Cosmo down on a chair and looked around the room. Cosmo gurgled up at me. Will he be safe here? I asked Grandma Sadie. We're all safe down here, Grandma said. You can't see a trace of this room from the backyard. You can't even hear any noise from it. Everything is soundproof." "Whoa," Claire said. She stepped deeper into the room, and so did I. There were velvety, overstuffed chairs and a big wooden desk piled high with papers. On the far side of the room, there was a lab table covered with beakers full of different substances. A pink one was bubbling like a brook. A blue one was as still as a lake. An orange one was steaming like a geyser. And a green one was swishing back and forth like ocean waves. "First, let's get Cosmo some food," Grandma Sadie said. "When's the last time he ate? Maybe he's just hungry." "I can sneak upstairs and get something to eat," Eric offered. "No need," Grandma Sadie told him. "We have everything we need right down here." She opened up a small fridge and pulled out meat and cheese and hamburger buns. "But how will we cook it?" I asked. "I don't see a stove." "We don't need one," Grandma Sadie said. For a second, I was worried she was planning to serve us raw meat, which is not safe for anyone to eat, even pets made of slime. "Bunsen burners," she said. Grandma turned a few handles and used a metal tool that made sparks to light a metal tube standing on her lab table. The flame was smaller than the kind on a stove, but it was bigger than a candle's flame. Grandma set up a metal rack over it and put a pan on top. Within minutes, the burgers were sizzling in the pan. "Who wants cheese?" Grandma Sadie asked. "Me!" Claire said. "You got it," Grandma said. "Eric?" "I wish I could," Eric said, "but I'm allergic to dairy." I gave him a sad smile. I know what it's like to have allergies. I can't be around any cute and furry pets because I'm allergic to them. That's why I'm so lucky to have Cosmo. While she made our food, Grandma also made a tiny version of her Bunsen burgers, just for Cosmo. "There you go, boy. Eat up," I said, setting his burger in front of him. "What are all these photos on your wall?" Claire asked. "Just a few things that inspire me," she said. "Come over here, Pipsqueak. I want you to see my gallery." Grandma Sadie swept an arm toward a wall decorated with framed photos. "This is Albert Einstein, who came up with the world's most famous equation," Grandma Sadie said. "Energy equals the mass of an object times the speed of light squared." "What does that mean?" I asked. "It means no matter how small an object is, it contains a tremendous amount of energy," she told me. "Like Cosmo," I said. "Sort of." She moved to the next picture. "And here is Galileo Galilei. He was a scientist and an astronomer who helped develop the scientific method." "This is Sally Ride," Grandma Sadie went on. "She was a physicist and an astronaut, and the first American woman in space. And this is Isaac Newton. He came up with the law of motion that says for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And over here we have Leonardo da Vinci, I said. He was one of the most famous artists in the world. He painted the Mona Lisa, the Last Supper, and a lot of other things. Why do you have a picture of an artist in your lab? He's most famous for his artwork, Grandma Sadie said. But people aren't just one thing. Da Vinci sure wasn't. Besides being an artist, he was also an engineer, an inventor, an architect, a botanist, a musician, a writer, a mathematician, and a scientist. Wow, I said. What about all these pictures of Mom, Dad, and me? I asked. I know we're a lot of things, too, but we're not scientists. Maybe not, Grandma Sadie said. But you three are my greatest inspirations. She gave me a squeeze. 9. The Rings of Jupiter. Cosmo hadn't even touched the burger, and he was still a light shade of green. This was a bad sign. If he's not hungry, what could be wrong with him? I asked. I'm not sure yet, Pipsqueak, Grandma Sadie said. I'll get my stethoscope and check him out. Why do you have a stethoscope? Claire asked. You're not a doctor. Stethoscopes listen to internal sounds, Grandma Sadie explained. Sometimes I encounter things in space that... Aliens? Claire interrupted. Grandma Sadie gave a little smile. I've found the stethoscope to be a very helpful tool, she said. She pulled one out of a drawer and scooted closer to Cosmo. His little green body started to tremble. Don't worry, it won't hurt, I told him. It won't, will it, Grandma? Of course not, she said. She warmed up the flat part of the stethoscope, which is called the bell, with her palm, just like they do at the doctor's office. Then she put it on Cosmo's little body. First his front, then his back, his sides, the top of his head, and his belly. Is he okay? I asked anxiously. Hold on, Pipsqueak, Grandma Sadie said. I still need to take some measurements. I paced nervously as Grandma continued her examination. Hey, Eric said, why don't you tell me more about Cosmo? I could tell he was trying to distract me and cheer me up. I made him out of slime, I said. I used my regular slime recipe, which is glue, baking soda, and my mom's contact lens solution. Plus, I used red and blue food coloring because they make purple, and purple is my favorite color. And then he just came to life? Eric asked. Not exactly, I said. I looked over at Grandma Sadie to see if I should say the next part. She nodded. Grandma Sadie gave me a bottle of space dust, I said. At first it looked just like regular old Earth dust. But when I woke up in the middle of the night, I noticed it was glowing. When I opened the bottle, the dust flew out and landed on Cosmo. That's when he came to life.
Incredible. Just incredible,
Eric said.
I'd heard there was space dust with magical powers floating in the cosmos, but I didn't know anyone had actually found it.
Of course, it's not actually magical, Grandma said.
That's right,
Eric agreed.
Lots of things seem like magic before we understand them. And I'm sure someday we'll understand what makes space dust act like it does. But even then, it'll seem pretty amazing.
To be honest, I didn't even believe that space dust existed, Grandma Sadie said.
Of course, I'd also heard rumors about it, but I figured it was just a myth, like the one about the moon being made of cheese.
The moon is made of cheese? I asked.
No, of course not,
Eric said.
If it were, I'd be allergic to it. But I've been to the moon 11 times, and I've never even had an upset stomach there. Anyway, back to the space dust.
Right, Grandma Sadie said. I'd gone on a mission to Jupiter to collect specimens from the rings. Saturn is the planet with rings, Claire said. Saturn does have rings, Grandma Sadie agreed. But so do Uranus, Neptune, and Jupiter. Jupiter's 3 rings are made up mostly of dust. And right there, in the center of the middle ring, I noticed that the dust was shimmering a little differently. And I thought, maybe, just maybe, the rumors were true.
It was hiding in plain sight,
Eric said.
So to speak,
Grandma Sadie said. I collected the specimen and brought it back to Earth. At that point, I didn't know what powers the dust would have. She gave Cosmo's head a pat. My guess is, we haven't seen all it can do. You hear that, boy? I asked. You probably have even more powers. Cosmo smiled weakly. When you have something with untapped power, you want to keep it somewhere very safe, Grandma Sadie said. That's why I gave the dust to Piper. That doesn't make sense, Claire said. No offense, but Piper is just a kid. I know, Grandma Sadie said. And I'm sorry, Pipsqueak. What are you sorry for? I asked. I thought the dust would be safe with you, and would just be a neat souvenir from space. I had no idea having it would jeopardize your safety. Grandma Sadie shook her head sadly. I didn't know what to say. Grandma set down her stethoscope. Well, he sounds all right, but there's still something off. Let me get my scale.
Hey,
Eric said, trying to cheer me up again.
Is anyone in the mood for dessert? I saw some astronaut ice cream on the shelf over there.
Here are some things to know about astronaut ice cream. 1. It's freeze-dried, which means the water has been sucked out of it. 2. It's thicker and stickier than regular ice cream. 3. It's not as good as regular ice cream, but it's still tasty. The reason I know these astronaut ice cream facts is that Grandma Sadie brought some back for me to taste 4 space trips ago. I'll have some, Claire said.
What about you, Sadie?
Eric asked.
Let's try giving my share to Cosmo,
Grandma Sadie said. Eric tore open a package of astronaut ice cream and broke it into parts. It breaks like stale bread, but actually melts once you put it in your mouth. Want to taste, Cosmo? I asked. I held out a piece of chocolate astronaut ice cream. Cosmo sniffed it. Then he shook his head. I don't understand something about this whole magical space dust thing, Claire said. Why is Cosmo alive for us, but not for other people? I think Cosmo is becoming less shy, but he still only comes alive for people he thinks are safe, I said. Right, Grandma Sadie?
It's the best explanation I've come up with,
Grandma said.
Cosmo is a great judge of character.
But, Claire said. But what? I asked. Well, the truth is, I wasn't always kind to you, Piper. I went into your backpack without asking, and then I lied about it. Yeah, you did, I said, but I forgave you. Still, that wasn't kind, Claire said. And that was the same day Cosmo turned alive for me.
Look at what you've done for Piper today,
Grandma Sadie said.
And for me, and for Cosmo.
Seems to me that Cosmo always knew you had it in you, I said. Claire smiled quietly, looking at her feet. Grandma Sadie carried Cosmo over to a table covered in beakers.
Piper, Claire, can you clear these off so I have some room to work?
She asked. We nodded. Claire picked up the beaker with the blue stuff in it. I picked up the one with the pink stuff.
Careful,
Grandma Sadie warned. Cosmo gave an anxious gurgle.
I didn't mean to scare you,
Grandma Sadie told him.
I just need to run a few more tests.
She placed him on a scale. Numbers popped up. She said. Grandma Sadie stuck tiny little stickers to Cosmo and then connected the stickers to wires. She looked at a black screen with a bunch of lines and green words on it.
What are you getting?
Eric asked.
16 over 11,
Grandma Sadie said.
14 and 9. Oh,
Eric said. I did not like the way it sounded when he said, oh. What's wrong? I asked.
Cosmo's measurements aren't adding up,
Grandma Sadie said. Is that bad? She didn't answer. I knew what no answer meant. It was bad. Maybe it was even very bad.
Could it be the difference in gravity?
Eric asked. What about gravity? I asked.
Jupiter's gravity is 2.4 times the Earth,
Grandma Sadie said. I don't understand, I said. Me either, Claire said.
You're about 2.5 times heavier there than you are on Earth,
Grandma Sadie explained.
It's affecting Cosmo and making him sick.
So, what if we dressed Cosmo in some really heavy clothes? I asked. My snowsuit is heavy. So are my winter boots.
I wish it were that easy,
Grandma Sadie said.
The clothes might change the numbers on the scale, but Cosmo's core weight would still be lighter than it should be.
He didn't eat very much today, Claire said. That could affect his weight. Oh yeah, I said. He didn't touch his burger or the ice cream. Maybe he just needs to eat more. I know he loves Oreos. He ate every single one in my lunch the other day. Do you have any down here?
I don't,
Grandma Sadie said.
But Cosmo's lack of hunger is a symptom, not the problem.
Huh?
The reason he's not eating is because his numbers are off, not the other way around,
Grandma Sadie said. So what can we do? I asked.
I think there's only one thing to do,
Eric said.
Yes, it looks that way,
Grandma Sadie said. What? I asked. What's the one thing? Whatever it is, we'll do it. Grandma Sadie didn't answer. What? I said louder this time.
We have to send Cosmo to live on Jupiter, she said.
Meet Sally Ride. Grandma Sadie's inspiration wall includes a photo of Sally Ride, the first American woman in space. Born in 1951, Sally was always interested in science and math. She earned degrees in physics before training to be an astronaut, and in 1983, she made history when she went on a space shuttle mission. Part of her job was to control the shuttle's robotic arm. Sally Ride is also the first LGBTQ astronaut. After going on 2 space missions and leaving NASA, Sally Ride wrote several books and created programs to encourage kids, especially girls, to study science and space. She died in 2012. After Sally Ride, many more American women and women from all over the world have traveled to space. Is Cosmo on his way to outer space? Find out in My Pet Slime, Saving Cosmo, Book 10.